Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game Brigade. I am Brian Greer, and today on the show, we're doing our Look Back series where we take a look back 1 month and see what I covered or what I didn't cover or what I did and didn't do. Basically, we're just recapping the month of September. We'll also be talking about when enough is enough. This is something I've wanted to talk to you guys about, kind of doing a little cliffhanger in terms of the subject, but that'll be in our conversational piece. So we had a good month in terms of videos. Let's do our recap of the month. We had our board game collection update where we talked about basically this episode, but for August. I actually really enjoyed that video. If you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. I think it was a really, really good video. And then we did our 5 board games you need to know. I've been trying to do these games where I look ahead 1 month. We'll be doing one very soon for the month of October and seeing about what are the games that I really think you should be knowing about coming into that month. That way you can kind of prepare your wallets, or, I hate saying that, prepare your wallets. It's such a weird term to say. But at least be prepared in terms of anything you might be interested in. Otherwise, you can kind of skip a couple of weeks and, enjoy staying off Kickstarter. We also had Tournament Fishing. There was a board game that hit Kickstarter called Tournament Fishing. I covered that in a review. Unfortunately, there was some backlash and some issues with the creator and the publisher of that game, so that video is no longer on my channel. Little Flower Shop was a game by Dr. Finn's Games. I love Dr. Finn. Steve Finn is a really nice guy, and when he asks me to cover his games, I will always say yes, even though they're usually smaller games and don't nearly fit the niche of my channel. I've had a few people ask me this, though, like, why do you cover some of these smaller games? Why do you cover some of these lower box size games? And sometimes you have relationships with people and you just want to support their projects because you enjoy what they do. The games are good. Yes, it might not be a massive box like this guy right here, but I still enjoy covering them. So that's why I cover Little Flower Shop. Definitely not a game you would see me, purchasing on my own, usually on my own volition. But I will definitely give the guy an opportunity to play it and show you guys what I think of it. Then we had 10 games that surprised me, effectively games that I didn't expect to hit me in the way they did, either in a good or bad way. I think that was an interesting part of that video, is I had some negative moments as well. In a video you might think it's all positive, surprising moments. Then we had Masters of the Universe, where I kind of talked about the value of Masters of the Universe and if that's worth backing or not. I'm not going to get into details regarding whether you should be backing that video right now in this. I'm going to talk about that when we get a little further into what I backed or didn't back this month, so stay tuned for that. And then we had 5 things I wish I knew. And that video was really good. And in fact, I think we're going to do a part 2 to that video because there's so many more things that I think I forgot or left out that after I made that video, I was like, oh, that's such a good thing. I should have added that video. So we're probably going to do the next one on that one. And the last video, probably one that you guys probably saw, was I had a hard conversation with myself that really struggled. And I'll admit, I've had a rough, I would say, past few months on the channel, trying my best to, to make content. And I think it was really a weight off my chest by filming that and uploading it, seeing all the positive comments from the viewers, seeing other content creators come out and say, what they had to say. Tim Chuan, King of Average, also came out. Really appreciate those guys coming out and saying things. In fact, King of Average made a really good point that kind of affected me, where he said that if you make a video and it influences at least one person in a positive manner, at least you're doing something that's good. And I really think that's an impactful statement, and I think that's important to remember and keep yourself, kind of in line. So thank you for that. And that was basically the recap of all the videos that we posted on the channel last month. I do want to talk about some new channels that I've subscribed to. I did this 2 months ago. We talked about YouTube channels that I'm currently enjoying, or maybe they're new subscribers, or not new subscribers, new people in the industry. So the first one I want to talk about is Billy Indiana. Billy is a YouTuber who covers board game Kickstarter crowdfunding, and he also does unboxings and does reviews as well. I don't necessarily watch the reviews, but I enjoy the conversational pieces about like what's happening on crowdfunding and whatnot. So if you are looking for another voice, a smaller YouTuber, check out Billy Indiana. The next one I want to talk about is Just a Geeky Dad. Very new into the industry as well, talking about things about crowdfunding, Kickstarter. Very interesting stuff. I really enjoy seeing these new voices in the industry, allowing us to see people's other opinions regarding some of the similar topics that I talk about. So really appreciate that. If you guys want to check them out, Just a Geeky Dad in Billy, Indiana. So from that, what did I back? Well, we have had a massive attempt at reducing the amount of games backed. There's been, I felt that Kickstarter games have been really expensive lately, a lot of bloat, and I really want to be intentional about what we're backing. So we only backed 2 games this month. The first one being Tanaris RPG 5e, and we talked about this last week, or last month rather. And we're in it on this one. I just want to show I have updated my pledge. I've actually gone a little higher. We originally were in at the minis and RPG, but we are now in the all-in for returning backers, the $338. It's basically the all-in pledge. I really, really like what they are doing here in the board game industry and board game space. Taking a game that originally was an arena-based skirmish game, added a mini campaign, then they expanded on that campaign, and now they're taking the characters and the world that they've developed and expanding it even more into an RPG 5e experience. They're basically saying this is how we think board gaming universes should be or could be. And I think that's really impressive. So Dragorny Games, really, really impressed with that. In fact, it kind of makes you think about when you look at the next game that I'm backing, and I'm only in this for $1 right now. I might cancel that pledge. It's $1. It allows me at least to think about it over the next few months. Masters of the Universe. CMON games are incredible value. I have never not had a successful back when I backed a CMON game. But I have had experiences where the gameplay is faulty or not as enjoyable as it would like to be, and there is a lot of bloat when it comes to a CMON game. And I don't necessarily know if this is worth having in your collection to sit on your shelf and take up multiple spaces of inventory spots on your shelf. And so when you look at this, I definitely think the $110 pledge is worth it. When you're looking at true value, there's a lot of great stuff here in terms of gameplay, especially with the Kickstarter exclusives. That's how they get you. But then you start looking at, well, you really want the skull, right? You want the Castle Grayskull. That's additional. That's a double of the pledge, $220 now. And that's really just for a single alternative play mode, a attack and defend play mode. And then we're looking at all of the expansions. Now we're at $445. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, you're looking at this. I have the power. $445 gets you all in, all the plastic junk. But when you look over here at Tanaris RPG, you can get pretty much the similar. Let me scroll. I'm pretty sure it's a pretty similar experience. If you wanted to go all in here and get a full experience with arena combat, so you can do the same thing in Masters, as well as a campaign, an epic campaign, have a 5e experience dungeon. There is so much more content and production for $100 more, $200 more. And you don't have to go all in here. I'm just saying that's an option. But there are so many more variables here in terms of what I think Tanaris is bringing to the table than what CMON is bringing to the table. With this is just more plastic, more stuff. So I think that's important to talk about. And so that's one of the things that I am kind of holding off on CMON. I think it might be a fun game. I'll probably play it, though, 3 to 5 times before I am done with it. And so how much do I need to get at that price point? If I do get it, it'd probably be at the $110. Maybe get the playmat because those are usually valuable. They usually hold their value or go up in value. But that's about it. So those are the only 2 games that really interested me this week. There was a bunch of stuff that was on Kickstarter that a lot of people were talking about, but nothing really strived me to take my money this week. So we're going to go and turn off the recording here and push this computer out of the way because we're going to get really, basically, a lot of stuff is going to be moving around. So that's done. Okay, so I want to talk about what did I add to my collection, and this is going to be part of the conversation. When is enough enough? I probably went on a spending binge. You could say retail therapy this past month, where I spent probably a little bit too much money on board games, but there was incentive, I guess. There was a buy two get one free sale at my local game store for their anniversary in terms of being open, and it just incentivized me to buy stuff, and so I did. So the first thing is I had a client that I wanted to get a gift for, so I bought him Nemesis, and with that I ended up picking up myself Descent, and because I got a free game with Descent, I got myself, with that free game, the big box of Edge of Darkness. I also got 2 expansions with Edge of Darkness. I can't remember the names of them. It's like Edge, what is that? Cliffs of something, Cliffs of Calamore, and another one. But these were 2 of the games I bought in the first rollout. Descent, I wasn't totally sure if I wanted Descent, but I have heard actually really good things from it from several of my friends. And I have the entire Descent 1.0 collection, and I think maybe a third of Descent 2.0. I enjoy Descent. I just haven't, it's been kind of like an archaic system in terms of the way it's made with the one versus many, and I don't care for that. But now it's app-based. And I do think that Fantasy Flight has done really well with their app development, so I'm going to give Descent a try. So this was the first game that I picked up versus part of the bundle, but it didn't end there. And also Edge of Darkness. This is one that just recently had a Kickstarter and was an incredible deal on the Kickstarter. In fact, $179. You got this, all the expansions plus the new expansion. Incredible deal. I asked several people what they thought about it. Several other content creators, several people in my Discord, and it was wishy-washy in terms of the opinions. So I didn't back it on the Kickstarter, but when I was looking at a free game, I had to pick up something that was close to over $100 in value, and this was staring me down. And I figured, you know what, let's take a chance on it. So Edge of Darkness, I'm hoping this is good. Just went through unboxed it, got it all organized, and she is ready to go. Okay, next. This game, before I bring it out, this game I have probably found one of my new favorite games, Marvel Champions. And this is an empty box. I actually have a whole system that I've made now to organize Marvel Champions. But this game is actually one that I purposefully ignored and didn't want to play for months. I just wasn't interested in it. And while I was there, I was like, it's kind of like, I want to get more. It's a great sale. What can I pick up in that $50 range? And this was sitting there staring me down. And obviously, you got the opportunity to get a lot of expansions for a relatively good price when you buy 2 get 1 free. So I asked some people in my Discord, and they gave me some recommendations. I picked up some stuff, went home and played it, and fell in love. I haven't played an LCG, a living card game, since Android Netrunner, and Android Netrunner requires you to play against an opponent. You got to have someone to play against. And so it's difficult to just drop it and play because you got to teach someone how to play. It's also competitive, so if they're at a lower skill level than you are, it's not going to be as enjoyable of an experience. You really want people to be on similar skill levels. With Marvel Champions, it's cooperative against the system, and it didn't really seem to bother me that the skill levels could be different. I enjoyed the game all the time, and I've also really enjoyed it playing solo. I'm struggling to be a solo player. I'm working my way through it. I am not a solo player. Still trying to figure that out. But Marvel Champions, I have played solo with like two-fisting champions. So this is one that I have now basically got the entire collection for Marvel Champions. I have everything for this game. I basically started off with a few expansions and went, well, I'm in. I love it. So we got that. I don't know why my tripod's over here. That's the one for my computer. Also picked up this game, King's Dilemma. This is a game I've been looking for since Shut Up and Sit Down reviewed it, and they basically said it was one of their top games of the 2020. I was like, man, I really want to play that game. It sounds incredible. We do have a legacy group that we're kind of building up. I would love to get. We're at 4 players right now. If we can get one more player to join my player group to do legacy games, this will be the first one we'll play. Because at 5 players, I hear this is one of the best games. So in King's Dilemma, you're effectively playing a house of the land, and there's a bunch of different houses you can choose from, and you're going to be basically pushing policies. Voting on policies or doing things that can change the direction of the kingdom, and kind of hoping that things go your way. And as you do things, it'll change the landscape. The king is a pawn, so it's not really part of the game. It's all about the houses and your influence on other players. And I love politics. I love when players can have agency. It's one of the reasons I love Twilight Imperium, because I love when people start, swindling and politicizing everything. So we'll do this one after. Oh no, I dropped it. We'll have to cut and get that. Dang it. Okay, Small World. This was in that $50 range. So same thing with like Marvel Champions. Small World of Warcraft. I am a huge World of Warcraft fan. I've played World of Warcraft when it first launched, and played almost every single expansion except for the current one. And Small World is a game I've never actually played, but I've heard incredible things about it. And still have this one in the seal, haven't had a chance to open it up. But what I've been told from it is that it basically takes the World of Warcraft IP and uses it perfectly in the Small World build. And so that really had me excited. Wanted to add another World of Warcraft game to my collection, so we got Small World of Warcraft. Okay, next was 3 books. And these were recommended to me by a commenter here on the YouTube channel. I made comments that I was looking at getting into 5e. And they said, if you're going to get into Dungeons & Dragons, you're going to need the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Monster Manual, and the Player Handbook. And so because they were doing the buy 2, get 1 free, I bought 2 and got 1 free. So worked out perfectly. Got these books, got them over here in my library. I've only flipped through them a little bit. I don't really know really what I'm doing with them, but whatever, The next game, was a buy 1, get 1 free out of the clearance section. So I got this out of the clearance section, which was Under Falling Skies. I don't know much about it, other than I hear a lot of people talking about it. So I figured I'll try it out. It, effectively, 50% off a $25 game. It can't really go wrong. It was so cheap. But the free game I got was not the big box, but was the expansion for Tapestry. Tapestry is a game that I've had kind of a love-hate relationship with. When I first really got into board gaming, I loved all Stonemaier games, and Tapestry kind of was like a special game for me. But as I played more games, Tapestry would like lower and lower and lower on my list. My wife loves the game. She still loves it. And so I got the expansion. It was free because I got the other one. Mostly because I was like, if it fixes some of the issues, it adds some more variety to the game. Maybe it'll do enough to make this game elevate a little bit for me. So I've already got it put into the game, put it in the box here. So I got both the expansion and the main game in this single box. And that leaves us to the only game I didn't actually spend money on this month was Ankh. Ankh finally came in. I have been waiting for this stinking guy to show up. I feel like I was the last person in the United States to get their copy of Ankh. As months ago, 2 months ago, I think people started getting their Ankh. I got my playmat 2 months ago for this game, but had to wait another 2 months for the actual game to show up. We haven't played it. I'm hoping to get this played Friday or Saturday. So that's what we're on right now, is looking at getting this played. Super excited. Another CMON game. Incredible value. I went all in on this one because I really like the Egyptian theme, and Egyptian themes were really pushed heavily in 2020. So I'm really excited to get Ankh Gods of Egypt. And it's already got its own spot on my wall. So congratulations, Simon. You earned a spot. So this is kind of my collection. But I wanted to ask, when is enough? Because at some point in my shopping, I got a third of these games free, which was incredible. Buying games, getting stuff for free was awesome, and it was kind of addicting. Oh, I freaking missed out. There's 2 more games I didn't get that I didn't bring over here. We have Tortuga, $21.99, and Cosmic Encounter. How did I forget about them? It's because they're way down low on my wall. So let me go grab them. I knew I was missing something, and I still could be missing something. But we picked up Tortuga and Cosmic Encounter. I was really looking for a game in that $53 range when I was doing Marvel Champions and Small World, because I think this was another $53 game. Yeah, so 53. So this one was free. Cosmic Encounter. I don't know a lot about it, but this is the 42nd anniversary edition, and I basically thought to myself when I was looking at the box, I was like, I don't have very many classic games in my collection, nor have I played many of the actual classics. So it's maybe a good idea to pick up a classic and try some of the older games that you wouldn't normally get to play. So that was this one. And Tortuga, this is the Kickstarter edition from Gray Fox Games. I actually passed on this, but when it was on Kickstarter, but being able to get it for a discount and get it without shipping and bundle it with the game. I think I bought this one when I did King's Dilemma and something else. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I'm missing stuff along the way here. I just can't remember. It's such a bad month, guys. I spent way too much money. Oh, plus the expansions. So I picked up Tortuga. So that's it. That was the end of my haul. So I wanted to ask, though, when is enough? When do you have to tell yourself, even though there's an incredible deal, you just got to stop? Because now my question is, when am I going to have time to play any of this stuff? When am I going to be able to do it? You got to have the time. You might have all the money in the world and buy all the games in the world, but we are all limited by the exact same thing, and that's time. And I think I had a realization with that when I was sitting down. I was kind of organized everything, and I went, holy crap, you went a little overboard. And this was actually multi-day purchases. Like, I went in, bought one thing, bought the books, bought the Descent and the Nemesis, came back, picked up Marvel Champions and whatever, went back, picked up the Tortuga. I just I kept going back day after day after day, because it was addicting. It was addicting to go and getting a free game. You're buying 2 games, getting a free game. And I even sit at the store. I sat there for 2 times. 2 times I went, like, over an hour, pacing the freaking aisles, looking for the perfect game. And sometimes I was like, I don't know. One of the reasons why I picked Cosmic Encounter too is, like, I don't know. It's $53, so it fits, and I don't know what else I can get. I don't want anything else. So I probably got games that I wouldn't normally have bought otherwise. For example, Tortuga. I probably would not have bought this if there wasn't a sale. And that becomes a problem. That becomes an addiction, I think. And so I basically had to correct myself. I'm glad I caught it, and I'm glad I mentally locked it in, that there are things you need to be aware of when you're spending money, when you are in this hobby. This hobby is so incredibly easy to get stuck in the excitement of adding to your collection, looking at the wall. I love looking at my walls and my pieces, and just saying that is my collection, and having a sense of pride with it. It's weird, right? So that's the conversation. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts. when is enough? Have you ever also just gone overboard on a shopping spree in terms of, the board game hobby? And you have to also consider, guys, I got everything for this freaking game. Like, oh my God. Although I do love Marvel Champions. Marvel Champions has also reinvigorated me to watch Marvel, the MCU. So me and my wife are watching through that, and we're doing it through timeline order. So we just watched Captain America, and then we watched Captain Marvel, which I really enjoyed. Captain Marvel. I never watched it originally. I heard a lot of drama revolving around Captain Marvel. I loved it. And if you don't cry in a specific part near the end, you don't have a heart, man. I was crying. Maybe it's because I have a daughter. I was freaking crying. And I thought to myself, I cannot wait till she is older and we can watch this again, because I love watching movies with strong, powerful women doing cool stuff. So I'm going to cry here. So we're going to move on. And so then we watched Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Thor is next. So that's where we're at right now. Really enjoying it. And now that I'm actually going through the MCU, I'm actually understanding it more. I feel like when I watched it kind of piecemeal, you watched a Thor here, then watch an Avengers there. I had no idea what the hell's going on. I didn't know who the Kree were, and none of it made sense. But now I kind of understand some of the characters and background. You're like, oh man, it's all piecing together. So yeah, that's that. So we're going to wrap this up. We are going to finish off with what I played. Oh, I turned my phone off when we started this episode because I didn't want to get disturbed. So we're going to have to BS while I turn my phone back on. Yeah. I had no idea what to BS about now that I have to BS. Marvel United. We also just watched Loki, and that one was not as good for me. A lot of people loved the Loki, and I thought it was okay. I would say it was okay. Maybe I'll get a better appreciation for it once I rewatch through Thor. A lot of these movies I haven't seen more than once. I saw them in the theaters or at a friend's house at one time, and never saw it again. We are also making sure we're including Spider-Man into the timeline, because according to when you go to Disney Plus, they don't have Spider-Man on their list. I think it's because it's owned by Sony but licensed. It's weird. So we are making sure that we are including Spider-Man. So let me take a look here. So for plays in the month of September, we played Wingspan and Moonrakers at the beginning of the month. Moonrakers, again, by Ivy Studios. I used to have it on my wall. It's down here now. You guys can't see it. Moonrakers is one of my favorite deck builder games. Really was a great first-time outing for Ivy Studios. Made me kind of fall in love with that little indie brand. Super supportive of them, and I can't wait for their newest game, Mythic Mischief, which I have up here. You guys can't see it really, probably. And then Wingspan. We've been playing Wingspan a little bit lately, kind of out of nowhere. I told you guys late 2020 that I basically stopped playing Wingspan. That it's pretty much out of my collection. Not that I got rid of it, but like not really something I'm looking to play. But we had some people join the player group within the last 6 months, and they had never played. And so it just has kind of happened when we've been playing that game. It was kind of refreshing to go back to Wingspan. I think it's a classic. I think it's a game that will always be good. It'll never be great for me anymore, but it'll always be good. My phone's at 5%, so we got to go quick here. So then what did we do? We then played Nemesis. And this was Nemesis, the game by Awakened Realms. Can't see it because this is in the way. Nemesis by Awakened Realms. This was one of the most miserable experiences for playing Nemesis I've ever had in my life, and made me start questioning myself and my sanity of whether this game is actually one of my favorite games, because it took so freaking long. It was almost like 5 hours long of playing this game of Nemesis, and it was not like the game was bad or the players were ruining it. There were some funny interactions. Parts of the game are why I love Nemesis. We had a player who purposely started shutting all the doors on the escape pods after he set the self-destruct so that no one could get out, and he was trying to kill everyone and sabotage us. It was stuff like that makes you remember why Nemesis is such a good game. But it was a slog. It took forever. We played with, I think, 5 players. I don't know, man. It was just At the end of it, I was exhausted. I felt like I ran a marathon. I'm like, what the hell, man? That was so hard. And then we have tournament fishing. We've got a lot of tournament fishing, and that's because I was prepping for the review. I will say I actually really enjoyed that game. I really like it. I thought it was a really great deck builder. I said that in the review. Enjoyed the overall aesthetic of the game. So kind of shame that what's kind of happened with it. Then we had Marvel Champions, and I've got a bunch of Marvel Champions. That was me playing solo. I also played a 3-player game with Mark and Matt. Thank you guys for playing with me. And I think I played another 2-player game with just Mark on another game. So we got a bunch of Marvel Champions in here. And then we played Terraforming Mars, and this was the first time I played Terraforming Mars in the last 2 years. The last time I played Terraforming Mars was in January 2020, just before everything kind of went down, and it was I had a great time with it. And then, the big box expansion came, or was on Kickstarter, ordered it, and I told myself, I'm not playing Terraforming Mars until that big box comes in. Finally got it, and I pretty much forgot how to play. So got the 2 guys to play with me, so we played a 3-player game of Terraforming Mars. It's such a good game. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the components of the big box. I would say you still don't necessarily need the big box expansion, like all of the upgrades. I still think that game is completely fine without all the bling and blah whatever stuff. So that's my personal opinion. It was nice to have table presence and be able to see Mars kind of growing and have all this cool stuff. But I think the game is good because of the mechanics of that game. And the final thing we had was Twilight Imperium 4th Edition, Prophecy of Kings. We played that last Sunday, and we played a 4-player game of Twilight Imperium. I couldn't get a 5th player. I tried my hardest to get a 5th player, and really wanted to have one of our players, the Chaotic Evil player, the same guy from Nemesis who was trying to lock all the doors and everyone. I call him Chaotic Evil because he's always doing something freaking crazy and evil. And he's like, no, I swear I'm not. And then he does what he did in Nemesis. So I was like, you got to play Twilight Imperium because it's a game just for players like you. And it was a great game. Ended it about 6 hours in, which was relatively early for Twilight Imperium, but it was a great game. I will always enjoy that game. Still think 5+ is the number. Some people think 6 is the number you got to play at. I personally think 5 is perfectly serviceable, and it also makes me have some interesting maps. Instead of just doing circle maps, I can do a bunch of different stuff. And that rounds out. I also played another Marvel Champions after that, but we'll just keep that with all the Marvel Champions. That rounds out my month in review. So I know this was rambling, super long video. I hopefully think you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Spent some time with me, enjoyed the conversation talking about everything I did and whatnot. Give me your thoughts on spending all this freaking money on board games. Am I nuts? Let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.